Hi Tia, can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you for having me on here today. So, from the beginning, so I was born in a small town in Wisconsin. Very much, I don't fit in there. Um, kind of knew from a young age that it really wasn't the place for me. And I started dancing, like, as long as I can remember being alive. I think since I was like 5 years old. Um, and I did, the whole works. I did jazz, tap, hip hop, lyrical, flamenco character, all sorts of different genres of dance. But it was only when I was around 11 years old, I started to get pretty serious into it. Um, I started protesting with my mom. I stayed home from school and I was like, I want to do ballet. This is my career. Like, you have to let me do this. I was a very stubborn kid. Um, so when I turned 13 was the time that we started looking for a more intense ballet school for me. And that's when I moved to Arizona and started my training with Master Ballet Academy. And I trained there for 3 years, did many dance competitions and performances that really helped me grow into a ballerina. Um, and after that, in 2019, I began my training at the Royal Ballet School in London. And the Royal Ballet School has, like, honestly, I mean, for most ballerinas, it's a big dream. So getting that opportunity, I really could not pass it up. And I spent 3 years there in the upper school, and I graduated in 2022. And since then, I joined the Sarasota Ballet, and I did 2 seasons in that company. And now I have just joined the Royal Swedish Ballet here in Stockholm. So this is where I'm at now.
Yeah, it's
And that's
exciting. Big congratulations.
Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, like, how competitive is to get into the Royal Swedish Ballet? I mean, it's one of the
Oh,
oldest ballet companies in the world, right?
yes, I know. Well, I feel incredibly privileged. I mean, every day I just feel very grateful to be where I'm at. Um, but I will say it is really, really difficult. And, my heart goes out to the whole ballet world. I definitely had a harder time, I feel, with auditions and that whole thing. I could honestly talk so much about auditions and that whole process, but definitely for these big ballet companies, it's, kind of the same process with every company. You send in an audition video and then you have to get through that round and then you have to fly all the way there and do that audition. And it's just so many steps to kind of get the opportunity. And I find it, quite difficult as a individual and a young individual as well. I mean, you are always looking for jobs. I mean, ballerinas are looking for jobs by the time they're 18. I mean, that's pretty young to move across the world by yourself and start working. Um, so yeah, I would say it's highly, highly competitive. Definitely a small group of us, and yeah, definitely a small group of Americans as well in the European countries. But
So how did it, can you tell us a little bit about the process? First of all, like, how did you hear about this opportunity? And
hmm,
out of all the ballet companies, why did you choose them?
right. Well, so audition season is kind of a daunting thing for ballerinas just because it's ever since COVID happened, the jobs have been taken away and there's just not as many opportunities. But I've done a lot of research, and honestly, social media has been a really big outbreak for people to announce auditions. And honestly, I would literally take a pencil and paper and write down all the companies that I was interested in And, I was in a point where I was working in Florida. It was really nice to be in America, but honestly, my eyes were to work over in Europe again. So I focused mainly on that, but I did do some auditions in America. Um, but yeah, overall, it's kind of the same process anywhere. Like I said, you have to put together an audition video and, your resume and all sorts of things. And you send it into these companies, and then only do you get invited to audition. And you have to fly, all the way across the world um, to attend these auditions. And so, yeah, I guess it's kind of a long and expensive process, but there is also these opportunities called like the grand audition, where it's one big audition and basically a bunch of ballerinas come and they do one huge cattle audition, and there probably be like 6 or 7 different companies at that audition, which is really nice, I think, because we only have to fly to one place to audition for many companies at once, which I really think is like a great opportunity for dancers, especially because it's so expensive to just drop everything and fly to these locations to audition. So yeah, that's kind of the process, and it's definitely not an easy one.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's it been like since you moved to Stockholm? So exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I mean, I will say it's very different because I mean, I grew up in Wisconsin, which is like northern America, and so I was dealing with like really cold weather until I moved away at 13.
Right.
But I moved to Arizona and then I moved to Florida, and I lived in England for a while, but like it's definitely not as severe as the winter is going to be here coming up. Um, so next week there is some snow on our weather, so we'll see if that happens. But it's definitely cold here and dark. But I will say, like, this city has so much character, and the people here are just really kind, and I really like the lifestyle. Um, so yeah, it's been definitely an adaptation, but I am so lucky. I feel so lucky to be here.
Yeah. So like how many people that recruited this time?
Um, well, there are around 80 something dancers in the company, and I think there's like about 17 on leave right now. So they didn't have many contracts open, but there was, let me see, one, two, three, 4 girls, and I believe 4 boys as well. So 8 of us that they recruited this year.
Are they from like all over the world?
Yes. So yeah, I mean, there's a girl from Japan. There's a girl from England. I'm from America. Another girl from Australia and France. They're really from everywhere. This company is very diverse, which is really lovely. So yeah.
That's awesome. So I mean, 80 people is it's one of the the largest ballet companies probably in Europe.
Mhm.
Yeah. And compared to like, so you were training with Master Ballet Academy. I was
Yes.
yeah, I just saw the documentary Born on Point last night. And I was like, oh my gosh, Tia.
Oh
Were
my
you
God.
like were you like what 14 when you filmed that?
Yes. Yeah, I was 13. I was
Oh,
literally
okay.
so nervous. That was my first interview, and oh my God, it was such a like daunting experience because it was like in my home and with my family, and it was just like really overwhelming because at that age you're kind of like, Mom, leave me alone. I can do this on my own, but like I really couldn't. Oh,
So
that's so
yeah,
funny.
just for the audience, it's available on YouTube. It's called Born on Point. It's yeah, just search Tia Wenkman and there you are. So how did they find you? Like what was the process like?
Well, for that, oh gosh, it's so long ago. I think that I mean, obviously it was my mentors that gave this opportunity to a few dancers. But I think that these two kind of filmmakers, they came in and we actually ended up doing a movie with them uh, at a later date. It's called Driven to Dance and it's on Netflix. So they
Okay, wow.
directed that as well. Um, but yeah, it was kind of just like a little experiment. I guess they were trying to get into the ballet world because I know they're based in LA and they do a bunch of film festivals, but I'm not too sure how it actually went down. I guess I was just kind of there for the filming process and I was like, okay, cool. So, yeah, but it was definitely a fun experience and um, also like, once you kind of, I mean, get one of those opportunities, it leads to another one. So I guess like how it led to filming the movie as well was very cool.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how long did the filming take? What was your role
Oh,
in the movie?
it took a day. Oh, for the movie. The movie took about, oh gosh, I think it was like 2 to 3 weeks. And I wasn't like a big role, but I did have a speaking part, which was very cool. Um, so
Awesome.
yeah, I was just like one of the dancers. I was kind of like a brat. I was a mean girl to the main girl who Juliet Doherty, she played the star.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was kind of like a bully, I guess, to her. This little girl.
Well, did you pick the role or they assigned it to you?
No, they assigned it. Oh.
But it's fun to play the villain, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure how well I did it because
I
I
gotta
was
watch it. I
13.
got what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, you are you performing in this season?
Yes, I've actually done quite a lot of performing already.
Okay.
I mean, we have a very amazing repertoire for this year. We did have to start kind of later in our performances because the Opera House is going to be shutting this next year um, during the new year of 2027, and it's going to be shut until 2032. So they're doing some like renovations and things like this. So we started our first ballet this past month, and it was a new ballet called Gustavia, and it
Mhm.
was one of the most amazing experiences. The choreographer, his name is Per Isberg, and he's a very famous Swedish choreographer. And it was kind of like a neoclassical, but still very classical ballet. And it really followed the story of the lost Swedish prince. And it's a true story. But this story has been kind of lost in the history books. And um, yeah, so it was really cool because we got to kind of bring back history to this country. And so that was our first ballet. And we also did a little Swan Lake excerpt from Act Two for the Royal Parliament, which was also very exciting. And we are currently working on Askugun, which is Cinderella. So this will
Mhm.
be our Christmas program and also into the new year. And then after this, we'll be doing a double bill, which is En Cope Cafe by Matzek, and then also Infra by Wayne McGregor. And after that, I believe we're doing Giselle. And then after that,
Ooh,
I
love
think
Giselle.
is, yes, it will be my first time. So I'm very excited.
Yay! What
Um,
would you be like in all of these? Like, what would you be in Giselle?
I'm hoping one of the Willies. So I'll be probably doing that. I mean, we haven't had any casting yet for those. And then our last performance will be Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah,
I can you tell us a little bit about the so you're performing the Gustav like right now?
we just ended this past
Okay,
week actually.
yeah.
So we did, I think, like 14 shows or something.
Was it the
Um,
premiere? Was it the premiere of this ballet this year?
yes, it was
Okay,
brand
that's
new.
awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so the process was very kind of hectic, and the costumes were incredible. We had amazing set designs. My costume actually was supposed to only be um, kind of, I was supposed to only do a catwalk in it, and it was
Mhm.
so heavy. I mean, it was probably like wearing 62 twos, I swear. Um, but my role actually, they ended up choreographing like works, like, steps for it. So it's a really cool costume, and if you like go on my Instagram or also the Royal Swedish Ballet, you can see these amazing costumes. They're really something.
Yeah, awesome. So your Instagram for the audience is just Tia Wenkman, right?
Yeah, it's TIA underscore Winkman, WENKMAN.
Um, and so you also have like a YouTube video like channel that features your
Hmm.
dance videos, right? All those competitions. You've been doing
Yeah, yeah.
competitions like since a very young age. Do you remember the first time you were in these competitions? How old were you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, I have many, many videos on my YouTube. Maybe ones I shouldn't have on there. When I was like 11 years old doing a jazz solo. Um, but I mean, I think the first competition I ever did was, I think it might have been like Nouveau or Thunderstruck. I mean, it's very like commercial dancing. Um, but I was on a competition team when I was like, from 8 to when I started doing ballet, and I was really into that, doing like hip hop group pieces and stuff like this. But my first ballet competition was definitely a different experience. I was really not ready for the ballet world. I was, I think, 11, and I did YGP Chicago, and I did Kitri Act 1 and Harlequinade Variation, and then I did 2 contemporary solos as well. Um, but yeah, I remember those very vividly, and I just remember it feeling very like a harsh environment, and I kind of like feel that it was like this every competition I did. The environment is very cold, and you can definitely make it fun, but I definitely like when I grew up and started to get more knowledge about doing all these competitions and things, I kind of made it like a um an inspiration to like go up to somebody and just start talking to them and kind of loosen up the vibe a little bit, because I feel that these dancers like in competitions have so much pressure on themselves, and like of course it's really important to be focused on yourself during these times, but I think it's a really great experience, for dancers to open their connections and meet new dancers, meet new choreographers. um so yeah, overall I really feel that like competitions, like all those competitions I did, I really feel have shaped who I am today as a dancer. And I mean, I'm able to step out in front of hundreds of people and not be nervous anymore because of how many times I've been on stage. Um, so yeah, but definitely that first competition had me rattled, that's for sure.
Where was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was YGP in Chicago.
Okay. Yeah, which is a pretty important. It's very important competition, right? For
Yeah.
young dancers, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. I really think that YGP, ADC, IBC, USA IBC. I also went to one in China, which I really feel that all these competitions are a really good experience for young dancers.
And so when you started with the Royal Swedish Ballet, what was the process like? So were you assigned like a specific title? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, most companies, I won't say all of them, but how it generally works is there's rankings. So it will be like corps de ballet, and this is just for my company in specific, but it goes from corps de ballet to second soloist, first soloist, and then principal. And each company is different. I know that like Paris Opera has their own way of doing things, and also, there's apprentice levels and studio companies and all those things. So there's many different rankings. I guess it really just depends on which company you join. And I've also known companies like I think Joffrey, to name one, and Nashville Ballet. They don't have any rankings at all, so it's everybody's just a company artist, which is
Oh,
also a
that's good
great
to
way
know.
of doing things.
Right,
Yeah, I think it's really an interesting take. It's more modern, I feel. But yeah,
right.
most like the big European ballet companies have this way of hierarchy, I guess. So right now, I've just joined as the corps de ballet. So I'm dancing with many girls, but I I do feel like I've already gotten the opportunity to perform a solo in this company, which is really unheard of. Um, so
Awesome. How did
I
you get
feel
that?
that, I mean, I think obviously a lot of it has to do with like kind of if they, if they choose you, just to be kind of harsh. But I think also I've noticed that this company gives so much opportunity to new dancers, to younger dancers, as well as people that have been here for, 20 years. I think that it's really important not to just like judge a dancer just because they're brand new. And I feel that this is like kind of something that the big companies, and actually I should just say all companies kind of have um, maybe a hard time understanding. Um, but yeah, I think for sure even I've been performing more than I have been in my last company. So definitely a refreshing experience.
That's awesome. So what was the role? What was the solo dance?
Um, well, it was in the Ballet Gustavia, and
Uh-huh.
we there was the five aspiring wives. So basically,
Okay.
we all did these little solos for the king, and he ended up not choosing any of us. But
Oh, okay.
we're trying to win him over and kind of make him marry us, to be honest. So
Yeah.
yeah, that
I
was
just
a
look him up.
really cool.
Yeah, I just googled him on his Wikipedia. He looks like a really good-looking guy. Gustav.
Yeah, very old guy, but
We found a portrait, I believe it's like an oil painting or something. I was like,
yeah,
oh, who is this
probably.
guy?
Yeah,
So
but
yeah,
I
and
actually encourage like people to look at the history about Gustavia, and I think it's also on the opera's webpage. I think you can look up the story there as well, but it was pretty fun. So,
yeah, I mean, like, So I saw that you posted you went to the gala, right? And the royal family came as well.
Yeah, yeah, it was
What was
really
that like?
nice. Oh, I mean, I've performed for the royal family in England as well, and I think like both of these experiences is very like I mean, I'm not more nervous because they're there, but it's very amazing that we have the opportunity. They came opening night, and it was just like I felt like I was on a high afterwards, and it was so exhilarating, um, having this opportunity for them to come and watch. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I think I lost you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah. There was a little bit cut
Okay.
off. I was wondering, was it you or more or me? Like, is your internet
Um,
connection okay?
yeah, it should be. I don't know. We're on opposite sides of the world right now, so
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you're saying that it was you performing for the royal family, and
yeah. I mean, I hope I got my voice recording, but I was just saying that it was really exhilarating to have them there, and felt kind of special afterwards as well to after the gala and everything. It just is very, it's a fancy experience, and these are moments that I love being a ballerina.
yeah, absolutely. So did you get to meet them in person?
Well, we didn't, I mean, I'm sure during this season they'll come and like actually like shake our hand. And I've heard that this has happened before, but
Right.
this time they just attended the opening night performance and then they usually dip out of there afterwards. But hopefully, I'm hopeful that this year we're able to, meet them face to face.
Yeah, and it's at the opera house. How do you say it? It's like a Swedish word.
Yeah, Kungliga Operan, which
Okay.
means Royal Opera.
Okay. Oh, so that's a Swedish word. How's your Swedish how's your Swedish going? Did you learn like is there a
Oh,
requirement to learn like do they have like language school for you?
no, I mean, it's not going well. It's a very difficult language, but to be honest, I've been kind of slacking off because, I mean, everyone here speaks English, which is really nice. Like, I really haven't ran into one problem with anyone not speaking English. The only thing was like all my work emails and work schedules and stuff are in Swedish, so I have to, I mean, I've definitely learned those words, I just, I'm not the best at pronunciation. But hopefully, in the next few years, I will acquire some Swedish.
Yeah, I mean like oh wow, just looking at the photos of the opera house. It's
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really
it's grand.
gorgeous.
Yeah. So what was the backstage like?
Um, well, I mean, also the stage, I will touch on a little bit as well. Um, I mean, it's huge. And it's also raked. So that means it's tilted downwards.
Oh,
And this
okay.
was also something that it's very old fashioned. And this was because usually all of the rich people sat in the lowest level of the house. And
Mhm.
so they would tilt the stage so that the people in the back could see, basically the whole stage.
Right.
Um, and our stage is still slanted. So it's been kind of an adjustment as well because I'm used to dancing on a flat stage. Um,
Oh, you
but
can feel the
it's very
difference.
cool. Oh, for sure.
Okay.
It's definite like I mean, if you put your water bottle down, it rolls down.
Oh,
So
I see. So that's quite an angle. Okay. Um,
yeah.
God, did anyone
But
like slip in those like on stage ever?
I mean, I mean, accidents do happen, but we are professionals and we kind of have to deal with this, this thing. And also like you just have to learn about your weight distribution while you're dancing on the rake. Um, so yeah, actually we all managed pretty well. But yeah, the backstage is really nice and it's just nice to have a really like nurturing and welcoming company. I mean, everyone here is just absolutely so special. I feel so lucky to have such an amazing work environment as well as this amazing job. Um, but yeah, the Opera House is so grand and it's just, it's absolutely stunning. So every time I walk to work, I'm always like, oh, I'm just so happy to be here.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is your ballet company? Where is the house?
Where's the house located?
Yeah, where's the ballet company located?
So it's actually inside the Opera House. And
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Awesome.
so it's all in
Yeah.
one building, which
Oh,
is really convenient. But we're basically right across from the Royal Palace, right like in the center of Stockholm. So it's really stunning area.
so since you have you had the time to do some exploration of
Oh,
Sweden,
yes.
what
Yes,
have
for
you seen
sure.
so far? What have you seen so far?
Well, I mean, I haven't really traveled outside of Stockholm, but I've kind of done everything here. I mean, I definitely had to tour the Royal Palace, of course, and also the old town. It's called Gamla. It's really beautiful, really cute. There's so many like amazing cafes. I mean, I think this has been the one thing I've like, since coming from America, I feel that like we kind of lack in our cafe department.
Yeah, what?
At
How is
least
that
like,
different from how's the Swedish cafe like? Oh, what's their coffee like?
so I mean, one thing that I can maybe talk about is fika, which is kind of like an equivalent to like English tea time. So like
Okay,
kids in school, they'll have like set time. It's called fika. And this means basically you just like
fika.
it's a it's
Okay.
a rest during the day where you just have coffee and a pastry and you chill out. So I love going to fika. Um, but they have, I mean, their signature fika is, a coffee with a cinnamon bun. And it's not like a traditional cinnamon roll as we would say in America. It's kind of like a braided pastry, with like crystal sugars on top. And oh, it's so good. My guilty pleasure. Um, but yeah, it's been nice just to like try different cuisines and restaurants and everything here. And also, visit parks and I mean, the scenery here is just, it's amazing. It is so stunning.
Can you see like aurora borealis in Stockholm?
Can I see what?
Aura,
Sorry.
you know, like the green lights, the aurora.
Oh, aurora lights. I
Yes,
haven't seen any yet, but I definitely know that during like probably around Christmas time and into January when it's like really winter, I know that I'll probably be able to see them. So stay tuned. I'll be posting if they do show up. But I know that in northern Sweden, they're all year round, I think, actually. So
yeah,
it's pretty
that's
cool.
awesome. And it gets dark pretty early now, right? You posted like it's like 4 o'clock. It's already dark outside.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I've been struggling a little bit. I mean, in the mornings, it's really nice still. Uh, there's some sunlight, but by like 3:15 is like when sunset is.
3:15.
So, yeah, it's really
So
crazy.
does it get worse like as you move into Christmas?
Yeah. I think that the earliest the sun will set, I just like, because I haven't been here for a full year yet, but I think they said that it gets dark around like 2.
So when does the sun rise? How many like hours of daylight do you have in the winter?
Oh, I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but I've heard that it's only out for a few hours a day during like the really bad months. So I mean, I'm definitely taking my vitamin D supplement.
Yeah, and also that's why you go to that's the season you go to ballet, right? You go inside
Yeah,
and enjoy a performance.
exactly. I
Um,
mean, I'm in the
uh,
studio all day.
so how many? What's your work schedule like? It must be pretty intense during the performance season.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's been pretty generic. We work from 10 to 5 every day. Um, and I used to work 9 to 5, so actually, I feel that this is pretty good. Um, but on days that we have performances, we'll work from 10 to 1, and then we'll have a break from 1 to 7:30 when the show starts, which is really nice. I haven't had this before, so they give us like a fair amount of time to, go home and chill out before evening performance. So yeah, I mean, I will say dancing at night and then getting home at midnight and having to show up for class at 10 a.m. does get very hard. Um, but that's part of the job and we all manage, but we actually don't do any like double shows. So like we don't have a matinee and an evening. It will always be like a matinee one day or an evening performance, which I find so much better and my body is really thanking that process.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. What about the food? How do you find the Swedish food treating you?
I mean, it's actually quite fine. I find everything is actually good. I mean, it's not too much different other than everything, I can't read any labels. But everything usually looks the same. I find it's maybe a bit cleaner than like eating than it is in America. There's not as much junk food options.
Right.
But yeah, it's
So,
it's actually nice.
I mean, like speaking for myself, my impression of Swedish food is just IKEA food, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I won't lie. It's pretty much that.
So how? Yeah, okay. I was just about to say like, how is that different from the meatballs we had at IKEA?
I mean, yeah, they have the meatballs here at IKEA as well, and like in the old town is where you really find like authentic Swedish food, and a lot of it is like smoked salmon and meatballs with mashed potatoes, and also they have like this, oh God, it's absolutely horrible, but there's this alcohol called schnapps that they have, and it's
Oh,
kind of like in a little like shot glass, I guess, and they have it. Like it's a very normal thing to have, like even during the day, but it is literally the worst thing I've ever tried in my life. It's like kind of like a sweet hard liquor, and yeah,
like
it's just not my
limoncello?
cup of tea. Yeah,
I
kind
see.
of, but it's clear. It's completely clear, and I don't want to try it again to describe the taste, but it's like drinking hand sanitizer, but it's part of the culture here, I guess.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, like, so what is like, uh, well, do you like live in a dorm with other dancers?
No, no. So I do have a roommate and she is a dancer with the opera as well. Um, but we had to find our own accommodation. Um, so I have a little apartment and it's really cute. I love it. But it's very like the process to get an apartment here is really interesting. Like you can't just walk into an apartment complex and like ask, "Oh, do you have a room available?" you have to go on these websites, and honestly, there's really only like two trustworthy websites, because apparently everybody gets scammed here. It's
Oh,
like a big thing that people just are scammed here on apartments and accommodation and things like this. So I was like really skeptical because I didn't fly back to Sweden before moving here. So I had, my current roommate who was based in Sweden this past year. She basically had to meet up with these people and view the apartments because you're not allowed to get an apartment unless you physically go there and view it. And also, it's not through like a corporation, it's through people that own apartments. So it's just literally random people that you have to go and view their apartment. It's a very odd process, but after like 13, I think we ended up viewing, we found a perfect one with a really nice landlord. She is the best. So, yeah, that was kind of that process.
that's awesome. So like, did it come furnished, or you have to buy furniture from IKEA?
Um, well, we were lucky enough to get a furnished place. But we definitely had to buy a few things from IKEA. I mean, you have to.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's IKEA like in Stockholm?
Oh my gosh, like
We are
right by
dying
the
to know.
opera. I know.
Uh-huh.
Right by the
Prime
opera.
location. That never happens in US, right? I mean, the one in LA is all the
Um,
way in Burbank, so
yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the one, it's called like IKEA City, and it is
okay.
huge, like absolutely humongous. And they have like a full like cafeteria and like ordering kiosks. Like it's a very like, I don't know. I pass it every day to work, and there's so many people there every day, like actually eating lunch at IKEA, which I find so funny. Um, but yeah, the IKEA here is insane. It's huge. So
Okay, so that's it's like a cool place people just come hang out.
yeah, I mean, really, I feel like I'm missing out. I should probably make a visit there.
What are you rehearsing for right now? Like, what would be the next performance?
So we're doing Askugun, which is Cinderella currently, and the premiere is this next week on the 29th, I believe. So we just had our first stage rehearsal today. Um, so yeah, it's kind of coming together, and I'm dancing eight couples, which is kind of the corps de ballet role. Um, and I'm also learning the stepsisters, like the evil stepsisters to Cinderella, which is also a really cool opportunity. And the choreography is by Tamara Rojo. So it's a very unclassical, I mean, not unclassical, the steps are very classical, but the version is very new and modern. It almost has like kind of like a dark twist on the story of Cinderella. So the sets are very dark. I'm wearing all black. I wear black point shoes. I kind of like what it reminded me of was like a Tim Burton film. It's actually really, really cool. So yeah, that's what we're currently working on.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, like, it's just like I've never heard anyone wear like black front shoes. So is this the first time you perform in like a black point shoes?
Actually, no. This will be my second time. I did Western Symphony by George Balanchine, and I had to wear black point shoes for that. But um, this costume is a little bit more difficult because the costumes are like floor length gowns, and we also have masks on, so we really like aren't able to see that well. And we have these big wigs
Interesting.
on as well, so we're
Okay.
fully done up.
You know what? I just noticed that Tim Burton he also directed Alice in Wonderland.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
that was a very colorful movie, surprisingly. But
Yeah.
yeah. So is the costume like stage design kind of like like Alice in Wonderland, that movie, like just dark and twisted but beautiful.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's I don't know if you know the brand Christian Lacroix. It's a designer
Yeah.
French brand.
Uh huh.
Those are actually the costumes. They're designed by
Oh.
Christian, so they're really beautiful. And I can say that I'm wearing a designer dress on stage. But
Yeah, absolutely. What? So how was the fitting like? Can you tell us a little bit more? I mean, yeah, it's
yeah,
quite special, right? Does he do all the costume design, or just for the season, or
no,
just for the specific show?
yeah. So it was just for this ballet that he designed these costumes, and this is a they're bringing this ballet back. So they did it in 2022. So the costumes and the sets, like everything's already made, which is a more smooth process. But I had my fitting like a few weeks ago, and basically you just try on whatever dress fits. It's like if the shoe fits, Cinderella. Um, so yeah, I had to try on like two or three to get the one that would fit me best. But yeah, stay tuned because I will be posting so much stuff about Cinderella in the next coming weeks. So,
Yeah, it's awesome. Have you performed in Cinderella before?
uh, I don't think so. No, I think
Oh,
this will
that's
be
it's
my
the
first
first time
time.
experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and what about? So of course you'll do like the Nutcracker. Do you know what kind of role you would be playing for that dancing?
So actually this year we're not doing Nutcracker. They're doing Cinderella as our Christmas program. Um, so I'll have a break from Nutcracker this year, which is definitely going to feel a little bit weird.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
They're breaking the tradition.
Yeah.
So what would be your like? What would be the ideal role you'd like to dance in like a ballet?
Oh, oh, that's a loaded question. I mean, I think just from my personality, I would really love to dance Kitri in Don Quixote.
Okay.
Um, I also really want to dance Manon. I really love this ballet. What else? I mean, anything Wayne McGregor. I really love Wayne McGregor. His choreography is just so up my alley. It's a bunch of legs, turns, jumps. I love it all. Um, and I mean, for a classical ballet, yeah, I mean, what's coming to mind, I would just love to do Kitri and Giselle, all the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, like, I well, you never know. Some people they prefer. What do you prefer, like classical ballet or modern ballet?
I mean, we do both. I definitely think that we do mainly classicals. But we're performing Matt Seck in February, which is he is a world-renowned, amazing contemporary choreographer. Um, but yeah, other than that, it's honestly very classical and um, yeah, I mean, I like both. I really do. And I think I also love neoclassical a lot, which is kind of a Wayne McGregor-esque um, feeling. So yeah, I don't think I prefer one or the other.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, so what about uh? So compared to it, you used to dance in London as well. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, how is the difference being
Yeah.
in Sweden?
Um, Well, I mean, I'm sure also people have a lot of questions about the Royal Ballet School, as a whole. It's very secluded school. It kind of feels like a bubble, and they don't really, I mean, the social media, like, obviously shows only so much of the school. Um, so I was able to also get a bachelor degree through my time there, which was really cool. So now I can say that I am a graduate and I have a bachelor's degree. Um,
Oh, that's really good. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you do that while
yeah,
dancing full time?
yeah, it was definitely not easy, but it's actually a program that all of the students do at the upper school. So all of us received a bachelor's degree. Um, but we have like 3 to 4 hours in the morning before we have um, our whole dancing day of just academics. So we had to do academics before we had ballet class, um, which was definitely a struggle. I won't lie, it was really hard to juggle both of those things. But looking back on it now, I'm really just so happy I did that. Um, But in the third year, they you have to do all your academic work on your own. So it was, I think, mainly the hardest in the last year, just because I had to look for a job. It was my graduating year. I was performing, and also I was doing school. So it was definitely, I had a lot on my plate. Um, but yeah, in terms of performing, I the first year is like strictly training. Um, just to kind of, because I had to learn the English technique of ballet. I was currently dancing in Arizona at that time, but prior, and I was Vaganova trained, so the Russian style of ballet. And then moving to England, I had to learn a whole different style of ballet, which was very difficult and shocking to the body. Um, but yeah, I was able to perform with the Royal Ballet in Swan Lake and in Romeo and Juliet. Um, and I was also able to perform the Nutcracker with Birmingham Royal Ballet. Um, so yeah, I was given lots of performance opportunities during my time there. So
So, what's
yeah,
the how's can you describe to us the difference between the Russian style and the English style?
yes, this is basically my whole degree. So, um, so the English style is way more reserved. um, they focus a lot on the artistry and using the epaulement and more focused on like the art of the ballet. And I'm not saying that the Russian technique is not also artistic, but I feel that like compared to the Russian technique, they're super leggy. Like the Russians have all these really long, long legs and beautiful feet and amazing lines. I feel this is more kind of a stereotypical look on ballet. I feel that the Russian technique has. I'm not saying at all that I agree with it, but I think that they maybe have more of a stereotypical sense of what ballerinas should look like and stuff like this. So I definitely think that the Russian technique is more like tricks and trying to wow the audience. And I think that the English technique is kind of less is more. So I think that's kind of my opinion on the difference, but you really can see by watching a Russian ballerina and an English trained ballerina the difference between the two visually. I think is the best way to really compare the two.
Okay. And how long did it take for your body to adjust to the English style?
I mean, I'm still learning. I feel with ballet, it's a never-ending cycle. But to get the overall understanding, I think it really took me a whole year. Um, I feel that, there was also other students that were already in the school and they have been English trained their entire life. And I felt that me in particular, I had a bit of a harder time understanding and like having to kind of recorrect certain habits I had from training in the Russian style. So it definitely was very difficult, and I can hear my teacher every day still um, telling me, Tia, this is not, don't whack your legs and all this things. I can hear it every day.
So, what about like when you move to Stockholm? Do they ask you to perform in certain style, or they have their own Swedish style?
Well, I mean, that's actually really interesting because I think each company is really different. Because Swedish, like the Swedish ballet here doesn't have a specific style. I mean, we're all from everywhere. There's, people from Bolshoi, there's people from, American ballet companies. There's really people from like everywhere. And I don't think that we have a specific style that we follow, but we do have a French director. And
Okay,
so I think he
interesting.
does prefer to have a more French style. Um,
What's a French style?
um, the best I can describe it is very fast footwork, a lot of jumping.
Okay.
Um, it just very clean, kind of like the whole less is more thing that I was saying earlier, but I think that they're really focused on footwork and also point work, I think is like the main thing in the French style for the women. I think they really focus on clean footwork and fast jumps and things like that. So hard stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, what? Oh, just like on the side note, have you seen the movie Kiki's Delivery? It's like
I
a
have
Studio Ghibli
not.
movie. I mean, like, it's an animation movie, but I just like it. I noticed that it's based on the city of Stockholm.
Oh, I'll
It,
have to look
a
into
lot of
that.
yeah, and there's actually another fashion brand. Do you know Acne Studios?
Oh,
It's
Acne
also
Studios.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
this
It's
is my
also
favorite.
I know. I was like all this time because I've just been to their store in like LA and Paris, and I just
Yeah.
realized, oh my god, it's from Stockholm. So have you been to their
Yeah.
flagship in Stockholm?
Yeah. No, like actually Acne Studios is one of my favorite designer brands, and I only moved like once I moved here, I only figured out afterwards that it was founded here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so they also have a an acne archive here, which I've been way too many times. But they basically have like older collections and things that they don't sell online anymore. And they sell them at like a discounted price as well. So it's a dangerous store for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And well, there's actually another brand. It's called Tao Term. It's a Toteme. It's also like a Swedish brand.
Oh, I have
Know
not
that?
heard of this.
Yeah, I'll send it to your Instagram. Um,
Yeah, please do.
yeah, I mean, like they have. Oh, also Byredo.
Oh,
Byredo was.
yes. Yes.
Have you been to the store in Stockholm?
No, I haven't, but it's on my list of things to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like so much. You must be really busy dancing since you arrived.
Yeah, it's true. I'm really dancing a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, like wow, I'm impressed. I thought they only well, the most famous Swedish brand would be IKEA. They also have Acne Studios.
I mean, yeah, and ABBA, they're a Swedish band, so they're very into ABBA over here as well.
Ebba, okay. What kind of music is it?
Like Mamma Mia, ABBA?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
see.
so that's the band, and they're very proud of to call them, their own band. But
What about the
yeah,
nightlife in Stockholm? Where do people go hang out?
I mean, unfortunately, like I don't really have any other friends outside of the opera. I actually do have one. Um, but the opera students, I mean, we usually all go out like for dinners and things like that. But the nightlife is so nice. I mean, there's so many amazing restaurants and bars here. So definitely a very lively city, which is great because I was living in Sarasota, Florida, which is a very more older population, very low key, like beach vibes, which I also love. But, I'm in my 20s. I like to go hang out and stay up late. So it's definitely a nice city to have those opportunities.
That's awesome. I mean, like I heard that like because Berlin is known for its nightclubs and I know what it's like for Stockholm.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time, I mean, I've gone out a few times. Um, but it's very stingy. I mean, I'm 21, so I'm able to go out in America now, but in most of Europe, collectively, it's 18 is usually when you're allowed to go to nightclubs and things like this. But
Yeah.
here they have like a very stingy process. You have to be on like a VIP list, or you have to be over a certain age. Like, I mean, I think I've actually heard of certain places having to be 26 to get into certain clubs. It's really odd. Um,
Oh, you would think
and
that the younger you are, the more popular, right?
yeah, but I think
Yeah.
it's kind of like they have 18 plus clubs, they have 23 plus clubs. I think it's because like they want to attract a certain audience of people, possibly. I'm not really sure, but yeah, definitely a very fun nightlife, I will say.
That's awesome. So is there anything like on your if you wish for like what would be the ideal Christmas gift for you this year?
Oh, well, let me just bring out my list. Um, I mean, definitely, I think the number one thing on my list is like a really nice winter coat
Uh-huh.
because I don't really have one, and it's
Okay.
really hard to transport one here from my house in Wisconsin. So I think I'm gonna have to maybe ask that for Christmas. And I would say, jewelry, and I love Aloe, the brand Aloe.
Right.
The like workout stuff. Anything from there, honestly. So that's pretty much my Christmas list for this year.
Well, I'm sure like Santa has heard this for our podcast.
Yeah, I hope he's listening.
Yeah, wait. Where was Santa from? Like, is this somewhere is it like a Swedish concept? Let me see. Where's a
I'm
Santa?
not sure.
Oh, I just wondered. It sounds like a Swedish thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure
What's
at
the
all.
tradition in Sweden for Christmas?
Oh, I actually
Because it's so close
I
to
have
the.
no idea. Yeah, so we're so close to the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh,
Um,
is that a Swedish concept? Yeah.
but yeah, I'm not sure. I know that Sweden is like super beautiful for Christmas. I mean, we're supposed to get snow next week, so hopefully we'll have a white Christmas. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Do you have like
Because if it's
yeah?
going to be cold, then I would like to have snow as well, you know?
When does so it's already like when did it start like snowing? Maybe December, early December.
Well, I heard it's supposed to be next week.
Okay. Well, we'll
So,
follow your. We'll see from your Instagram personally.
yeah.
It's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Tia, for being on our podcast.